Hello, I just thought I'd share a little bit quick video here on this shot that I made here at Cove Palisades State Park in Central Oregon. That's the Deschutes River out there in the background, and I just spent probably the last half hour, maybe a little more, taking a look at studying this tree as it's coming out of the rock and reaching up into the sky, trying to balance it out with these various things, whether it's that tree in the background or the river or the whatever else we got going on in this scene. There's lots of detail coming on. I love the things that really drew me to this image. The lines that are coming from the root line, the snow line, the rock line, all of those things as they blend together, as they melt together, so to speak. Melting is the wrong word. It's really cold. And there are just so many good leading lines coming through, but it's all supported by the texture. It's all supported by the shapes and the forms. So let's hop into the studio now, where we're going to take a look at a little bit of the post-production, but we'll just really want to just show you each and every one of these images that I made here. Some of them, not my favorites. Some of them going to be pretty good. All right, see you in the studio. Hey there, welcome to the studio. Let's hop right into Lightroom and start taking a look at these few images I shot out there along the Deschutes River. This first set of images actually is about the only vertical composition that I cared for. We'll look at the others in a moment, but I wanted to do this one first because we're going to be focus stacking these. And while I'm at 24 millimeters and f/18, most certainly we've got a lot of depth of field here. If I were to do a normal size reproduction, I'm probably going to have enough sharpness throughout where it's going to be just fine. It's not going to be problematic at all. However, I am also interested in always wanting to have the opportunity to go really big with my prints. So if this one were to have been something that was just quintessentially awesome, which I'm not claiming that it is, but if it were, then I wouldn't have enough going on here to really get into the infinite depth of field that I want. So I'm going to zoom in here and kind of show you what I'm talking about. So this is 100% view, so pixel for pixel at the full HD resolution anyway. And we can see lots of good detail here in the rocks and the grasses and so on, because again, of this really long depth of field, all these things are going to be in focus. As I go from frame to frame, this one's not too bad. I'm focusing more midfield in this frame. And then as I focus on the background elements in this next frame, and for some reason we had a shift in everything that was happening too, but we can see how much more it's a bit more blurry, especially these grasses. It's a bit more blurry, these subjects are. And so when we make these items go into a focus stack, everything will be absolutely in good sharp focus. So here's the background elements, and it's going to shift around on me again when I move from frame to frame. But with the background elements, decently good sharp focus here. And then moving to the middle frame, and then to this one. Let's just reset this again. So again, this one here is a bit softer. Again, not too terribly soft, but it's a bit softer as we zoom in. So it's not going to have a hard time. The focus stacking that I use is Helicon focus, and I've got an item here in right here in Lightroom where it connects with it. And what I love doing is to have it do a DNG, because then I get raw data coming back right into Lightroom, and so I don't then need to worry about processing this photo to make sure it's perfect as far as the exposure and all that stuff is concerned. All I have to worry about is making sure that, of course, things are aligned well when I'm shooting the picture. Everything is sequenced and cadenced well, whatever you want to call it, as far as getting the image going, that all the particulars that I need to make it happen with the image stack, the focus stack. And then Helicon focus is here. It's thinking about itself for just a little bit longer. That's fine, not a big deal. What I've found to work for probably 90% of my images is this method C and the smoothing of number 2. Let's go ahead and render that. And then as it goes through its processing and rendering, it's taking a look, finding those items that are in focus in each frame, and it's just going to crank away on it. So we'll pick it up when it's done doing that. That did not take too long. I only had to edit out a few seconds worth of video here to jump ahead, but then I can click and take a look here and make sure these items are coming in the way I expect them. And certainly they are. The things that I would worry about are these things with grasses where we would probably have the potential for some things to just go weird and go wonky. But since there was so much depth of field anyway on each frame, I'm really confident there's not going to be any problems here. So I just go over here to saving. I hit the save. We're doing the DNG. We got that is fine on the file name. Not too concerned right now about that. And it's going in the same folder, so we're going to just hit save, and then we'll pick it back up in Lightroom. So when I close out Helicon Focus, Lightroom automatically brings it back in, and so here is my DNG in Lightroom, and we're ready to go. I've already got some processing figured out, so we'll look at that in the detail in just a moment, but I'm going to, for now, just command-click this, make it my primary image, and for starters, I'm just going to use this information to synchronize on over to the other one. I'm not going to bring in my masks though, I don't think. So upper darken, main rocks, tree, central light, lower darken vignette, and then sky. Well, the sky it will automatically re-render that. So maybe I'll do a few of these. I'll do central light and main rocks. Tree, I'll bring that over. Lower darken vignette, yeah, upper darken. Since these are horizontal versus vertical images, I'm just a little concerned how that's going to truly come across, so I'm going to leave those out of the sync process. And so let's synchronize that, bring that over here to this image now, and pretty much the sky was non-existent anyway. So let's take a look at some of these details. It picked up a little bit of the sky, and so it brought in my settings for the sky, which was just a little bit of an exposure adjustment to pull it down a little bit. What did we do with central light? Of course, that is based on the other image. The biggest reason I wanted to bring this in was just to have the same exact settings coming over, and so I can repaint it wherever I want. So a little bit bump in the exposure, a little bit bump on the whites slider, and then a slight bump in clarity. So I probably want to reset this because that's just not painted anywhere reasonable. So what I'm going to do with this, and since this is the anchor point here, what I'm going to do with this, I'm really just going to hit my option key, and then I just want to literally go through and erase all this. But what I have to do is make sure that my flow is way high and my feather, let's bring that way down. The size is a decent size, but I just want my flow to be all the way high, density all the way high. So when I take this in here, it's just going to really quickly just smash all that away. And so now I've got the same settings as my other image, but now I just have to paint them in. So let's take my density down, my flow down somewhere in there. Let's take my feather back up. Yeah, it is decent there. And then I can just take these same ideas, these same settings that I had on the other image, and start painting it in directly for this image. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So I'll bring a little bit. All right. I like how that's coming. Good. Okay. And then we can turn that off and on so we can see the effects of what we're dealing with here. And then we had, let's see, main rocks, tree. So I can probably have that as my starting point. And then let's increase our density and flow and decrease my feather. And then I'll just add these other rock outcroppings. All right, now that that's all done, I would then worry about the lower vignette and the upper vignette if I wanted to darken anything there. But for now, I'm just going to get on to the other images and show you those items. So let's hop on back to these other images. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my library module. And so The first setup that I came to with this, I actually kind of like this framing. It's starting to grow on me, I guess is the best way to put it. I have a little bit of detail coming through in here, so I still maintain this detail. The sky is still doing its kind of thing, but then I have this really strong gestural element with this root line here. And this is what I first saw, and this is the first image that I made, and I think it's really looking good. I really like it, starting to really like it. Looks like I may have had a focus stack on this one as well, but then I zoomed out a little bit, a lot better that way. A little bit more of that, the ambiance coming around to the left-hand side. Didn't care for this kind of a view because, I don't know, it just seemed, it just felt a little bit off balance to me. And of course I can lighten this stuff up a little bit, not a big deal. But then this tree also, it just really didn't work for me. And some of these other compositions, it's just so much more minimized or eliminated. This vertical one is just absolutely eliminated. But in this case, it just didn't work for me. So then when I did this framing, yes, it's a little dark. Well, let's go ahead and lighten that up a little bit. But you really just lose the detail. You just lose the definition of this tree with its background. So really did not care for that. It was just getting lost too terribly much. And as we look at the detail of the rock and root, okay, there's some interest there, but then this road comes into it, and it just kind of, to me, was a little bit of a visual distraction. This was a little better because, again, we have the tops of this tree here. The road is really minimized, and then we're looking more at this element here with the reflection of the land in the water, and then this connecting element down here. That works really well. And of course, that was one of the ones that I chose, and you have already seen in the video. And yeah, that came out pretty good. I really liked how that came out. We've already seen the vertical one, and then of course, this other horizontal one where we're stepped way a lot further back. I liked this one because it just gives us a little more feel for the river and where it's going and where it's, headed. And then a little more feel for the overall sense of place. Whereas when we're zoomed in here, we're really looking at the elements, and then this one is about the sense of place. Well, that will wrap it up for this video. Thank you so much for being here and hitting that like and subscribe button. In a few more days or weeks, whenever I get around to it, I'm going to publish the next video from this area, which is all about this really thick fog image. So if you watched the video where I just did the walkthrough and I showed these photos, but I didn't get into the detail of the photos, you've already seen that one, but we're going to get into the detail of that location, and I'm looking forward to releasing that one here shortly. But please do stick around. We've got lots more things related to printing and other locations to shoot. So we'll catch you next time. Until then, God bless and happy shooting.